Now to the economy and a rough day on Wall Street. The Dow dropping over 600 points yesterday. Investors reacting to President Trump's promise to impose tariffs on Mexico and Canada. Those 25% tariffs are now in effect, along with an additional 10% on Chinese goods.
All of this as the president prepares to address a joint session of Congress tonight. And joining us now from Washington is ABC's Elizabeth Schulze. Good to see you, my friend. So what's the president's reason for these new tariffs and how long could they last?
Great to see you guys. Okay, so a key goal of these tariffs, according to President Trump, is to encourage businesses to do more manufacturing to boost jobs in the U.S. Remember, the way that tariffs work are that American businesses are now going to be paying higher fees when the products that they're importing into the U.S. cross the border. So think about it now, 25% fees from Mexico and Canada, and that additional 20% now on goods from China. And the question that a lot of businesses are going to face is, do they absorb those costs, or do they pass those costs down to their consumers? And that's when you think about the impact of how long this is going to last, guys. If this is prolonged, if these tariffs stay in effect, a lot of economists expect you could start to see price hikes by Memorial Day. For some other goods, like fresh produce, which is a huge product that we import from Mexico, you could see higher prices in a matter of days or even weeks, guys.
So, Elizabeth, how are these tariffs going to affect Americans' wallets, and what products specifically are we going to get hit the most with?
Okay, so the most immediate impact is likely to be the grocery aisle. And if you just think about the sheer amount of stuff that we import from these biggest trading partners when it comes to food, fresh produce. So think of avocados, strawberries, a lot of that fresh stuff that's coming from Mexico, those prices could go up pretty quickly. So in theory, a $3 avocado, if the grocer decides to pass down those costs because they can't, stockpile those avocados in advance, they're bringing them in, they're paying more, that $3 avocado could go up to $3.75. Another place we would see the impact maybe over the next couple of months would be cars. And that's because the car industry is so entwined. These supply chains between Canada, Mexico, and the U.S. are so closely linked. There are thousands of parts that go into building any given car. If those parts cost more, automakers are paying more, and that could mean that you as the consumer could end up paying up to $3,000 more for a new car, according to some estimates. Other places and industries where you might see price impacts, we get a lot of shoes, apparel, electronics, consumer goods, appliances from China. Those prices could eventually go up. So this really is a sweeping set of tariffs. It's unlike anything we've seen, and that this is broad-based and really comes on the closest and biggest trading partners of the United States. There are no carve-outs, really, no huge exemptions here, and this is why it could impact a lot of what you pay for in your day-to-day, guys.
All right, so what can you tell us about this new chip manufacturing investment that the president announced on Monday?
Exactly, and this gets back to the idea that President Trump wants to encourage companies to buy stuff within the U.S. to boost domestic manufacturing. And he did tout this $100 billion investment from a Taiwanese chip maker, so a company that makes computer chips. Those are so important for all of our day-to-day electronics, your cell phones, your computers. So many of those chips are the industry of the future, and there had been concerns that a lot of those chips are produced overseas, and now what we're seeing is this announcement from TSMC that it will boost its facilities in Arizona. So President Trump is saying just the threat of tariffs on other countries is encouraging businesses to do more in the United States to boost their presence here. Of course, another argument that he makes is that he wants to use these tariffs as negotiating tactics with countries like Canada and Mexico over issues like fentanyl and immigration, to try to get the leaders of those countries to agree to policies because of the threat of these tariffs. Worth noting that we are already seeing, though, guys, the escalation in these tariffs. We're already seeing both Canada, Mexico, and China retaliate with their own tariffs. And really one of the risks there is a full-blown trade war. And that's one of the problems with tariffs that we've seen in history is it's very rarely just sort of one that goes into place and then it's done. When it escalates like this, that's when it starts to become more impactful for businesses and for consumers too.
Elizabeth Schulze, thanks for breaking it all down for us. It's a lot to take in, but you did well. Thank you. And
Here
good to
for
see
you guys. Thank you.
Of course. And by the way, folks, ABC's team coverage of the president's address to a joint session of Congress begins tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Time.